What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I am back again. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And today I want to talk about social media and if it's bad, because I've heard a lot of people say that they think social media use is going to be worse than any type of drug use that people have had issues with in terms of, drug epidemics in the past, right? Comparing that social media is going to be worse than the crack epidemic, which I don't know if I would go that far, but I do think there are some significant issues that have arisen in the digital social media age that we need to talk about, right? So I think first and foremost, there are positive things that come from social media. There are no positive things that come from crack. So we cannot continue this comparison of social media to crack. It's not the same thing, okay? So the benefits of social media is, you can connect with other people, right? I don't know if we would consider YouTube social media. I think we would. But that allows you to, connect with other people. That's why I love making YouTube videos. It allows you to, educate other people. It allows you to be educated by other people. So there's a lot of positive things there. It also helps you stay informed. You can get the news. It builds communities of people. You have people that, are members of certain channels on YouTube or members of certain pages that they follow on Instagram or Twitter. And, those are people, form relationships in those communities, right? It allows you to express yourself. It allows you to network, all those things, right? But there's a lot of issues that people have been citing that I do think are prevalent. And I think social media can lead to a lot of mental health problems. It can, there's been several, reports and studies that, social media or excessive social media use, I should say, is linked to higher levels of anxiety, depression, loneliness, and body image issues. The body image thing is definitely true. I feel like every time I turn on Instagram, it's a dude that looks like he just got done doing like a mountain of steroids. And he's like, yeah, all you need to do is eat like 8 eggs a day and some avocados and you're going to be fine. You can get any girl you want, this, that, whatever. And it's just like, life doesn't always work like that, right? So you don't always see what's actually happening, behind the scenes, right? You just see this 30-second clip of someone, ripped and, saying that you can do whatever you want. You just got to, be dedicated, right? And I do believe you can get whatever you want if you need to be, you can do whatever you set your mind to if you're dedicated. But at the end of the day, it's like people are just seeing this 30-second snapshot. So they think it's easily attainable. People have this instant gratification problem where they're not willing to really set out on a journey to accomplish something because they're not getting that quick dopamine rush from it, right? So that's one thing. I think girls deal with this too. The body image issues, like you see girls on Instagram all the time that are like, quote unquote IG models. They're just trying to lure dudes in, and get likes and, get money from people, watching their Instagram. A lot of these girls are also promoting like an OnlyFans page, right? It's become a rough thing, right? And that's not to say that everyone that's on social media, man or woman, is, dealing or causing issues and promoting bad content or bad behaviors. It's just a lot of them are at the forefront and they are promoting these, bad behaviors or just unrealistic expectations for people. There's also a big issue with cyberbullying. A lot of people think, this issue has gone away. I would argue that it's gotten even worse. People love to hide behind keyboards and, not post anything on the internet and just dish out their opinions, right? And their opinions are usually hurtful, and, cause issues to others that are creating and expressing themselves, right? And that's not everybody. There's tons of people on YouTube and other social media platforms that are, commenting positive things. They're interacting with people in a positive way. But I would say the overwhelming majority is hateful comments, people making others feel bad about themselves. And frankly, it seems like a vicious circle that is happening because you have these people seeing, people that have, things that they want, right? And they become angry, they become insecure. And then the way they take it out is by commenting on other people's posts so they can belittle them and they can feel better about themselves, right? It's a horrible cycle that we have with that. And it goes without saying, this promotes FOMO, right? People see things that other people are doing and they get the worst cases of FOMO. I can't even tell you, like, I follow so many people on Instagram that I grew up with that literally just post the stupidest stuff. It's like they could be at home and they're just like taking a picture of a pair of shoes that they have just so they can brag and be like, I got a pair of shoes that you don't, right? It's just like we've developed this horrible mindset that like we just have to assert that we're better than other people all the time. Like, between me and you guys, like, I personally do not care if someone thinks I'm better than them or lesser than them or whatever. I need to be content with myself. It doesn't matter if I'm better than you, worse off than you, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's not how we judge people. That's at least not how I judge people, right? You have to interact with people in a positive way and not let them give you this sense of FOMO. There's also a lot of fake news that goes on, obviously, with the advancement of, artificial intelligence, aka AI, technology. There's tons of videos that people are putting out there that are just, they're not real and people can't tell. Like, I can't even tell you how many times my mom has called me up and she's like, oh, did you see what so-and-so said? And I was like, Mom, that did not happen. That's AI. Like, send me the video. I'll show you that's AI. But like, there's a lot of people that are falling for this stuff, right? And I don't blame them. Like, you go on the internet to hopefully get accurate news and you can't believe what anyone's saying anymore, right? And I would guarantee you could scroll down Instagram right now, go through the first 25 posts you see. I would argue that at least like 40% of those posts are going to have some sort of inaccuracy about them, right? Whether it's just assuming that you can accomplish something in a day when it really should take a year, or, just false news. Like, it's so prevalent and people don't even care to do their research. They're just like, oh, I saw this on the internet, so it must be true. That's becoming a very unrealistic reality. When you see something on the internet, at least me personally, what I do is I go on Google and I search like the same, tagline or headline or whatever and see if stuff comes up, right? And if it doesn't, it might be true and it just hasn't really gotten around yet, or it's likely that it's just not true at all. So you have to be careful. And the other thing is that social media is an addiction for a lot of people, right? Like, if you take social media away from some people, they're going to really struggle, like really struggle, right? And I know it sounds odd because, I'm a guy that, posts on YouTube. I have multiple channels on YouTube. I like interacting with people on the internet, but I'm not trying to do stuff that's necessarily unrealistic, right? I'm talking to you guys from a stream of thought. Like, I don't really have notes. I'm just like, I'm telling you guys how I feel about something. And that's what I do on this channel. That's what I do on my main channel. I don't want to ever portray something that's not really me, right? But a lot of people use social media as a cover, right? And if you take that away from them as a creator, they're going to really have, an identity crisis. And on the other hand, people that are constantly consuming, if they stop consuming, they can't be alone with their own thoughts. Like, people that are constantly online or active or chronically online, I guess is the term, like, they can't go more than like a couple of hours without seeing like TikTok or IG Reels or YouTube Shorts or any of that stuff. And it's mainly like short form content. It's just like you can quickly see a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. And it's sad because it really is an addiction, right? And people just think it's okay because it's like, you're not, doing drugs or doing something that's really unhealthy for you. But at the end of the day, like, I do think it is going to be unhealthy for people. And I think people are not really going to notice those effects until they're 30, 35, 40 years old and they can't have a conversation with somebody because they're just so used to looking at a phone, right? It's just tough. It's tough. And I think we need to make a bigger deal about this. And the way I've kind of changed it up is like I've just grown to produce more authentic content like this, make beats, post that, rather than consuming all the time, right? And don't get me wrong, I watch a lot of basketball, I watch a lot of sports and stuff. That's what I grew up doing, and that's what I enjoy doing. But the long form content, I really don't think is as detrimental, especially when it's not stuff that's just making you feel insecure and anxious all the time, right? If I was on Instagram all day and I'm just seeing a bunch of these dudes like that are ripped and, you know, driving $300,000 cars and telling me like, oh yeah, just buy my course so that, you know, you can be like me, like I would probably be depressed too, not gonna lie to you. So you gotta just like, you gotta build a sense of individuality, and it's nearly impossible to do that if you're constantly scrolling through social media, because you're constantly just reacting to what other people are doing with their lives. You're not focused on building yours. So the other thing is it'll disrupt your sleep. A lot of people just like sit in bed on their phone until they fall asleep, and like you don't get really good, you know, sleep quality when you do that. So that's another thing to consider. I would recommend maybe putting your phone in another room for the night while it charges, or just putting it far enough away so you know, you'd have to get up in order to get your phone, right? So the screen time limits, you know, on the iPhone settings that you can do, that's also helpful. But a lot of people, they just ignore them, right? They put the 20-minute timer on or something, and then it's like, oh, you reached your limit, and then you're like, oh, ignore for the day, and then it goes away, right? And I'm guilty. I do that sometimes too. I do have the screen time limit to try and, you know, make sure that if I'm sitting on my phone too long, I get off of it. But it's a real problem, man. So I want to know what you guys think, though. Do you guys think that social media is a problem? Do you think we're going to see really bad negative consequences from overuse of social media in the next couple of years? I think it's a very interesting subject, so I want to know what you guys think. So please leave some comments down below. Let me know what you have, you know, as an opinion on this, and we'll chat, we'll link, we'll build, and we'll grow together, guys. That's all I got, though. So I love all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it, and I'm going to keep these videos coming. So stay up, stay blessed, stay safe, stay humble, handle business, stand on business. Peace out.